in mind, when we talk about cyber attacks and, they're attacking your supply chain and attacking your plants and attacking your machines, this has been happening long before, pandemics. This has been, manufacturing is still the #1 most targeted industry for cyber attacks. Why is that? Because, at the end of the day, time equals money. And the plant floors have been charged with what? Making things. My job is to make 1 million of these pens every day. And I'm going to hit the gas pedal in that plant and I will make 1 million pens. And I may do it the way I've always done it. I may have new machines, but as we start to connect, as the industry has shifted from maybe a build to inventory to a build to order, right? We used to make warehouses full of things and we don't do that anymore. We make just the right things. So our supply side and our demand side is very connected and the machines are very connected. Well, guess what else is connected? The threat landscape is connected. We've got, remote experts. They've been coming in for years. This is nothing new. This is the RealWear glasses with the microphone. This is, Robin or Richard being the smart people way in a different part of the country. I don't know anything about this machine, but you know what? I'll throw on a pair of glasses and a pair of headphones. They'll walk me right through it. But I promise you, the first thing that'll happen is they'll say, okay, Steve, open up the enclosure door. And the very next thing they'll want me to do is plug the network cable in. Because why? Because they need to see the firmware. They need to see the Revla. They need to understand what's happening in the machine. So this whole, it's gotten magnitudes more challenging today. We read about it every day. I mean, cyber criminals. Let's think about, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, all the way to the machine. We've seen social scraping, I think they call it, where they're targeting individuals at companies, offering them. Not that long ago, there was an automotive company in Northern California. The FBI arrested they offered $1 million. It was $500,000 up front and $500,000 when the job was done to land malware in the plant. So they're not just attacking yourcompany.com because why? You've probably done a very good job there. Where they are attacking is from the bottom up. They're attacking your most disgruntled worker, the person who didn't get the pay raise, the person who got overlooked for a promotion. How are we guarding against that? We need to think about the intrusion, the detection. So what is your viewpoint on that, Robin, around cybersecurity all the way to the cement floor, or maybe starting at the cement floor?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Steve. Today, the vectors are increasing exponential with the number of assets being connected on the manufacturing floor to the increased number of users that are getting access to the network. So from the concrete space, the manufacturing floor, to support smart manufacturing initiatives, we need connectivity all the way up. That connectivity means plugging up assets to the network, having remote support come in, as we talked about before. And as you just said, we want to know about that machine so we can build up those data sets to feed into the business initiative of a smart manufacturing model. Here's an interesting fact. Today's networks, we know they're under constant attack. You can flip on the news and you'll see another attack. Whether it be from outside sources, a state-sponsored hack society, or inside sources. Steve, as you mentioned, that maybe you've got an employee that didn't get the promotion he wanted, and next thing you know, he opened up the floodgates. Some are known, and some are unknown. So firewalls, let's put it, they're a thing of the past. We really need to look down the road on that. Current data that's available suggests that the dwell time of an attack is 56 days. Let me put a pause right there. 56 days. This means that the attacker has been on the network for 56 days before being detected. That's a long time. For that person, they could go in and wreak havoc on your network. They could plant bugs. And more than likely, they're going to sell that portal to other malicious attackers for whatever purpose they may want. So one person is going to say, well, how do I find out the identity of the attacker once I found out? Well, generally, most people don't have enough data for the forensic to catch the attacker after the fact, right? So we need to look at putting in network monitoring tools along with some deep packet inspection appliances that offer that invaluable information when you're looking at this type of investigation. So some of the vulnerabilities that you're faced with when you get an attack is the top one. They'll shut down your facility and wreak havoc and cause where you cannot make any product. Second one, worker safety is compromised. A piece of equipment can be running out of spec, endangering the employee's safety because of an attacker. System capabilities, held for ransom for payment, malware. Steve, you just mentioned it, and it's not uncommon, and it goes all the way from, like you said, automotives into healthcare, into government and city and state facilities. Intellectual property, the theft of it, all your IP out the door. We see this right now in the news where throughout the supply chain for COVID, manufacturing and supply chain initiatives are constantly being attacked today to try to get in to see those IPs. So again, the defense in depth approach is fundamental in securing the network. Again, I say security is not a process, it's a centralized system of governance. Now, Polytron can be instrumental in connecting the company's manufacturing assets with an in-depth knowledge of computers, machines, industrial controllers, IP address management for the industrial network, and deploying these data collection solutions. Polytron's background in cyber protection can give confidence to manufacturers that they will provide an outcome necessary for success. Polytron generally establishes a strategic team focus to ensure the customer's goal of cybersecurity. The team might use collaboration tools to keep real-time communications across multiple sites, being flexible in the schedule, cohesive team approach. We want to make sure that everyone is saying the same thing, whether it's one site or many sites across the network. Systematic, manageable deployment. This is whether you're rolling out new equipment, connecting new assets, provisioning new hardware, patching, AV updates. You want to make sure you have a systematic, manageable deployment approach. Steve?
Yeah, there are a couple of quick things, Robin, I want to come back to. You talked about, forensics. You talked about, catching the criminals. It's really interesting. I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, did a joint presentation with the Department of Homeland Security, and then 3 weeks ago with the FBI, all around the whole cyber attacks, cyber criminals, and cybersecurity. And they said, that a couple of challenges is companies can underestimate the incredible relentless pursuit of these criminals, right? They're, the way the Department of Homeland Security framed it up for me that one time, he said, Steve, think of it like this. Think that you're a soccer goalie and you're standing there in front of your goal and the hacker is out in front of you kicking on the goal forever. Never stops. And they get better and better as time goes on. And, some companies have said, well, we're too small, right? They're not interested in us. No, actually, they're very interested in you because other than a couple of, state actors that we all know about, maybe 2 or 3 of them, generally the way these hackers get promoted and get to work with, some of the bigger hacking companies, there's no universities for how to do this. They build up their resumes by hack and then hack again and break in again and break in again. So they start small and work their way big. Pretty soon they're hacking Cisco, they're hacking the government, they're hacking Polytron, they're hacking your companies. But nobody's off limits. And I really like the defense in depth strategy that we're talking about because, as they mentioned, the special agent was explaining to me that the forensic analysis that they do afterward to go catch the bad people, they do very well. They're very, very good at this. And by the way, for everybody out there on the call, if you do want the FBI to come in and do presentations at your facilities, they're glad to do it, but be prepared for the phone call that comes in that says, hello, Steve, this is Special Agent Eric so-and-so from the FBI Supervisory Cyber Unit. You just look, the FBI's calling me. But they will come in, they'll do seminars, they'll do meetings, they'll do these kinds of things to help you. But they said if you get breached and you call them and they'll say, okay, well, help me understand what you have, Richard. And Richard says, well, we got a bunch of firewalls. They're going to have a hard time forensically chasing that particular crime to ground. The more data you have, the more tools you use. And it kind of goes back to the network, right? Robin, you said it. There's so much deep packet inspection you can do now on the traffic, whether someone's trying to damage your network while they're holding you hostage while they're in your network for, what did you say, 56 days from intrusion to detection. What in the world are they doing in those 56 days? That's the average, which tells me some are even more. Some are less, some are more. But that whole defense in depth strategy, start with segmenting, start with managed switches, start with visibility on your network. I love that. That's how we have to think.